Once upon a time, in the village of Iketabesai, there lived a woman named Ikoet. She was known throughout the village for her kindness and generosity, but there was something that weighed heavily on her heart, a secret that darkened her soul. Ikoet was barren. For many years, she and her husband, Item, had tried to conceive a child, but their efforts were in vain. In their village, where children were seen as a blessing from the gods, her barrenness became a source of shame. The whispers of the villagers haunted her day and night, and the constant pressure from her in-laws crushed her spirit. Her husband, Item, loved her dearly and stood by her side. Yet, as the years passed and no child came, even he began to grow restless. The pressure from his family to take a second wife mounted, and though he resisted, Ikoet could see the sadness in his eyes. She feared the day he would give in to their demands. Desperate for a solution, Ikoet sought the counsel of elders, visited traditional healers, and offered prayers to the gods of fertility, but nothing worked. One evening, after hearing the latest round of gossip from the village women, Ikoet decided to take a more drastic step. She had heard of a powerful native doctor named Okokon, who lived deep in the forest, far from the eyes of the curious. It was said that Okokon had helped women who were thought to be cursed with barrenness, and that his herbal mixtures were potent enough to awaken even the most dormant womb. Ikoet confided in her husband, and though Item was initially reluctant, he could see the pain in her eyes and agreed to accompany her to Okokon's shrine. It was a long journey, and as they ventured deeper into the forest, the trees became thicker, and the air heavier with mystery. The wind seemed to whisper secrets, and the cries of unseen animals echoed through the dense foliage. Finally, they arrived at the shrine, a small clearing where ancient trees towered over a modest hut. The air was thick with the scent of herbs and smoke. Okokon, a tall, gaunt man with piercing eyes, greeted them. He wore beads around his neck and wrists, and his hair was wild and unkempt. Without speaking, he led them inside the hut. The interior of the shrine was dimly lit by flickering candles, and the walls were lined with shelves of herbs, roots, and strange trinkets. Okokon sat before a small fire, his gaze never leaving Ikoet. After a long silence, he finally spoke. "You seek a child," he said, his voice low and raspy. Ikoet nodded, her heart pounding. "Many have come to me with the same desire," Okokon continued, "but the path to motherhood is not always an easy one. There are forces that govern life and death, and sometimes, a price must be paid." Item shifted uncomfortably, but Ikoet leaned forward, desperate for any solution. "What must we do?" she asked, her voice trembling. Okokon stood and walked to one of the shelves, pulling down a small gourd filled with a dark, thick liquid. He handed it to Ikoet. "This is a herbal mixture made from ancient roots," he explained. "You will drink this every night for 7 days. It will cleanse your body and prepare it to receive life. But beware, once the process begins, it cannot be undone." Ikoet took the gourd, her hands shaking. "And what of my husband?" she asked. Okokon's gaze shifted to Item. "He will be given a different mixture, one that will strengthen his seed. Together, you will conceive. But know this, the child that comes from this union will be special. Twins, born of the gods. But they will bring with them a great mystery, and with that mystery comes a price." Ikoet and Item exchanged a glance, but their desire for a child overshadowed their fear. They accepted the herbal mixtures, thanked Okokon, and left the shrine. For 7 nights, Ikoet drank the mixture, as did Item. It was bitter and left a burning sensation in their throats, but they endured. On the 8th day, something miraculous happened. Ikoet felt a stirring in her womb, a warmth that spread through her body like wildfire. She knew, deep in her soul, that she had conceived. Months passed, and true to Okokon's word, Ikoet became pregnant with twins. The village celebrated, and even the gossiping women now marveled at her growing belly. But as the pregnancy progressed, strange things began to happen. Item, once a strong and healthy man, started to fall ill. His body weakened, and no healer could find the cause. His skin grew pale, and his strength waned. Despite the joy of expecting children, Ikoet's heart was heavy with worry for her husband. As her due date approached, Itam grew gravely ill. On the night of the full moon, as Ikoet went into labor, Itam took his last breath. His death came with no explanation, leaving the village in shock. Some whispered that the twins were cursed, that their father had been taken as payment for their lives. Ikoet was left to mourn her husband as she brought two mysterious sons into the world. The twins, Abong and Eboro, were unlike any children the village had ever seen. They rarely cried, and their eyes gleamed with an otherworldly light. As they grew, it became clear that they possessed strange abilities. They could communicate without speaking, move objects with a mere thought, and sometimes, they disappeared for hours, only to reappear without explanation. The villagers grew fearful, and stories spread of the twins' powers. Some said they were the children of the gods, others believed they were a curse upon the land. Ikoet, though proud of her sons, was haunted by the knowledge that they had taken Itam's life. She often wondered if Okokon's warning had been more than just words. As the years passed, the twins became a legend in Ikat Abesai. Some feared them, others worshipped them, but all knew that their presence was a reminder of the price that had been paid for their birth. Ikoet, now a widow, found solace in the fact that she had fulfilled her deepest desire to become a mother, though the cost had been higher than she ever imagined. The mystery of Abong and Eboro continued to baffle the villagers, and though they brought both fear and awe, their mother's love for them never wavered. In the end, Ikoet learned that sometimes, the greatest blessings come with the greatest sacrifices, and the paths we choose in desperation can lead to unexpected and profound consequences.